Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Game On. And this week we're going to be tackling some viewer questions. Thank you all for everyone who's sent in some questions for us to work with. The first one that we're going to start with this week is from
Kyle. So all these questions that we're going to be tackling in these next couple of videos come from the Greater Danbury Gamers Group in Connecticut.
Thank you guys for sending them in.
Yes, Kyle asks us, do we have any tips or tricks for taking notes during our RPG games?
So this one's funny because when we first started looking at the questions and talking about them, we thought, oh, well, this is a simple one to start off with. And then the more we talked about it, the more we figured out it's not really so simple at all. So anyway, there's more to it than that, and we're going to dive right in. You might actually get a visual clue as to how Justin and I see this particular topic differently right here on the table, because I've got my tablet and he's got his spiral-bound notebook. Now, another visual clue that you guys may have picked up on previous videos is I happen to be left-handed, which helps decide for me which of these works better, because my penmanship sucks. I'm left-handed, and using spiral notebooks, the spirals dig into my hand, and it's just my penmanship, I don't write freehand that quickly, so I can actually type as quick as I can write. So for me, that definitely works better. Obviously, Justin feels differently, and so he does things differently. Now, I used to, in the old days, use freehand notebooks too, but I found that in addition to the penmanship thing, the tablet has a couple of big advantages for me. Number one, obviously, you take notes chronologically as things happen in the game. But I find that later on, I like to reorganize my notes.
Okay.
And I may want them to be sorted topically rather than chronologically, or topically then chronologically. And if I have it in an electronic media like a tablet or a laptop or whatever, I can cut and paste and rearrange things. I can put different headings on them. Freehand, I mean, you can make notes and draw arrows and so forth, or you could retranscribe your notes in a cleaner format later on if you wanted to. But with electronic, I can just cut and paste and reorganize and do whatever I want very easily. It saves a lot of time on the back end of reworking my notes. So it's definitely become my go-to, and especially with a tablet is a good sort of mix between size. It's about the same size as Justin's spiral notebook, but it has the ability to be, manipulated, moved around, edited, corrected pretty easily. So I like it.
Oh, how about when you are behind the game master screen, or maybe not the screen?
So obviously, when I'm running a game, I have a lot of material pre-generated that I'm working with, and I do all of that stuff on a laptop too. Tend to be a laptop more than a tablet when I'm running a game. But the same principle applies. If I need to make notes, I will make that in the document of the various documents, because there's probably many more than just one. Making notes into the laptop, maybe I'll highlight it or use a different color or something like that. Make notes to myself to go back later on, change things, or amend something, make a note. Maybe it relates to something later on in a game. But again, I like to do it electronically, so everything's all in one place. And if I change my mind later on about how to say something or where to put that note, it's easy to cut and paste later on and make changes to make it work better for me.
Okay, well, that makes sense. I have a slightly different way of taking notes myself. Actually, as Matt said, I like to go with the paper and pencil way, though I happen to have a pen in front of me. I am not the world's fastest typer, especially on a tablet or a phone. I am what they call a hunt and pecker.
He's been called a pecker a time or two, but
yeah, we'll get into that later. But I I can write pretty quickly and pretty legibly to myself. No one else can write it, or read it, but I can read my own writing pretty well.
He writes it in code, so nobody else can figure out what he's saying, which
This is-
actually works
yeah,
well
yeah,
as a GM.
as a game master, it's perfect. But because I have the ability to write pretty quickly, and I've always been up through college, I always took notes by hand. I could never do it on the computer. I find myself able to pay it more attention when I'm writing something by hand.
You had mentioned that before, and I that part I totally get, as like the action of physically writing something helps you retain it in a way that maybe typing wouldn't.
Yeah, unfortunately, typing doesn't come second nature to me like some people it does, which is funny because I write for you.
So like I work as an editor, so I do a lot of stuff on electronics, and Justin does some authoring. So
Yeah, but I also it sounds maybe crazy to someone who likes to type out their stuff a lot, but I really enjoy circling things, putting check marks, frowny faces, smiley faces next to things, little doodles, so that it helps me remember the emotional component to the notes that I'm taking.
So hand-drawn emojis.
Yes,
Okay.
before they were cool.
They're still not cool.
No,
Dude.
okay.
They're popular. They're not cool.
Yeah. Now, I will say that the downside to how I do things is that as a game master, I am not afraid to write things in places that I forget where I write them. So sometimes, like, it'll be the next week, and I'll be like, I know that there's something I have to remember, but I can't remember where it is.
I wrote myself a note to tell myself to remember.
Yes. But I think that this is my way of taking notes is going the way of the dinosaur, it feels like, because everything is becoming digital. I mean, you use digital character sheets now.
Yes. Yeah. No, I like the organizational aspect of digital because I'm an organizational mess. And so being able to change my mind about how to file things or where to store things or make duplicate copies of things.
Okay.
All of those things are a huge boon to me because I have trouble organizing or trouble being decisive about how I organize things. So again, having three redundant copies in 3 different locations triples the ability for me to potentially remember or find the thing that I'm looking for in a relatively timely fashion.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, you can't really get away from the fact that D&D Beyond is popular these days, and everybody's using character sheets on their apps. And I still like to hand scratch everything because it feels more personal to me, but I understand that could be very different for other people.
Well, and you know, it's funny that the mobile revolution really kind of transformed that. Back in the dinosaur days, I actually used to make my own character sheets in Microsoft Excel. So, I was making digital character sheets before it was cool. But now with apps, individual games can make an app that produces a custom character sheet tailored to their game that people can just use at the touch of a finger on their mobile device. So that's really revolutionized that sort of specialized electronic character sheet thing.
And they have the ability to add notes right on the app.
Absolutely.
So it's just all at your fingertips.
And I will tell you, and you saw me in your D&D games that you ran, I was playing a magic user and I had my spell book.
Yeah.
And I used a separate app for a spell book, and I forget which the specific app was, but I'll look it up after this video and we'll put it as a little note on the screen up here or wherever. But yeah, no, it's super useful, especially for spell books, because I can't memorize that stuff. Some people are good at that, I'm not. And so having it and be able to scroll through and choose and which of my spells are at the ready and which ones are in my book, and I gotta
No, I get it. So I hope that was helpful, Kyle, because there's 2 very different approaches, and I think they're both very they're both niche, but they're both important. Like neither one is better than the other.
Yeah, and I will say, if Kyle, if you are like me and you can't really, because because honestly, this is an evolving thing. Like I'm always changing the way that I take notes, or advancing the way that I take notes. Hopefully, getting better at it. For me, having them done electronically gives me the ability to amend them and fix them later on. But I don't think there's any right way or wrong way to take notes in a game. It's really just, it's a device to help you remember the key information that you need to. So it's going to be very personal. You know, the way that works for me or the way that works for Justin isn't necessarily going to work for other people, although it might.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments below how you take notes, and let us know if there's another way that you guys do it. Do you do a combination of both? Because I'm sure that there's some people who can do a combo of both. Let us know in the comments. Thank you guys very much for watching.
Yeah, and thank you, Kyle, for writing in your question for us to tackle.
Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and game on.
Game on, and question on. You know, if you guys see these videos and say, "Hey, wait, they take requests," yeah, we sort of. I mean, and we might even get lucky and actually answer your question.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Game
guys.
on.